Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the middle of October essentially, and a lot of Star Wars fans are really looking forward to what John and Dave have in store for 2023 next year and beyond, and exactly what's in store as well for the new Star Wars lore that is about to be made canon by both John, Dave, George, and other creators hopping on board over at Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe between John and Dave Filoni is that they are really trying to set records when it comes to Star Wars. They really want to improve not just viewership, but they also want to improve quality of the upcoming Star Wars projects that are about to be made canon, and exactly how it's all going to come together. Now, we obviously know that past creators like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams didn't really seem all that much passionate in comparison to both John and Dave. And that's because John and Dave are true creators and true fans. And when you get people like that, that's when you get quality material coming, of course, from them for the overall community. Now that brings us to the subject of J.J. Abrams. Now, J.J. Abrams, as you all know, worked on The Force Awakens, worked on The Rise of Skywalker. He was supposed to come back for The Last Jedi in the beginning, but he refused to do that. Instead, I believe he remained as an executive producer, and that was it. But moving ahead from all of this, J.J. Abrams has been a little bit more talkative recently about his experience with Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, the sequel trilogy films, and a whole lot more. And basically, well, with the sequel trilogy movies now a thing of the past, Disney executives are working toward building new eras of the Star Wars universe. Not just with the Mandoverse, but also with the new movies and projects in the early development phase right now. Now, it's described, however, in a recent interview with creator J.J. Abrams, he was able to talk more about Lucasfilm as a company and Kathleen Kennedy. J.J. Abrams went on to state the following to the fans. When I was working on episode 9 at the time, believe it or not, but I actually disagreed with the whole Palpatine thing and him returning, and just being the center of attention again. I mean, maybe I should say I just didn't like how he came back. It was something myself and Kennedy had very big arguments about, and I fully don't blame myself for how Palpatine was used in the final film. I was constantly warning Kathy that we had to explain how he returned and how he survived, and she just didn't want to hear my voice on that, which got frustrating. Now, let me just pause here quickly. Now, obviously, J.J. Abrams, if he really wanted to, he could have probably, put his foot down and said, if you want Palpatine back, it's got to be done my way or I'm leaving. He could have done something like that if he wanted to, but obviously, you don't want to cause a scene. So, with this whole entire situation of J.J. Abrams really putting it out there that even he himself disagreed with not necessarily how, exactly the fact that Palpatine came back, but he more disagreed with the fact of how Palpatine came back. And as you all know, there's a lot of casual fans out there that are still confused to this day because of what Kathleen Kennedy did and what she forced JJ to do. And what she forced JJ to do was to not explain how Palpatine came back to life or survived. And that to me is just very, very irresponsible. I don't know about you guys, it's not just leaving things up in the air or creating something vague or making something a little bit ambiguous. It's nothing like that. I mean, this is a major thing that you have to have explained in the actual last Skywalker saga film. The only closest thing that we got that really kind of referenced his return was when Poe Dameron says, somehow Palpatine has returned, which everybody makes fun of that dialogue. Now, when you look at this, alright, J.J. Abrams putting it out there that he really wanted to make it known how Palpatine returned. And Kathleen Kennedy briefly even talked about this before in the past, that she felt it was too cartoony, too much like a traditional cartoon villain to explain how he had returned. They didn't have to do it that way. They could have done it several different ways. But anyways, moving on to the next thing of what JJ has to say here that I believe is crucial to his argument about what Kathleen Kennedy did. So he goes on to say, I mean, I did enjoy my time on these movies, but working with Kathy on the last film really was brutal with the whole Palpatine thing, because I knew everything was pinned on me, and that I was going to be the one to blame for how we handled the character. I have always wanted to say this to the community, but it was never my intention to use Palpatine the way that we did, and if it were all up to me, I would have explained everything about his return in the movie. We actually had shot scenes with Ian McDiarmid that explained his survival, and Kathy Kennedy wanted nothing to do with it. It really was upsetting to me as a creator, and this was all Kathy's plan and not mine. I just wanted to make things clear with the fans out there who are listening, and for those that were upset on how we handled him in the actual movie. So, once again, before I get to the next piece here, J.J. Abrams really putting it out there that Palpatine, the way that he came back, the way that he was handled was very poor. It wasn't just the fact that he came back. You know, that could have been handled differently too, but it's how he came back. And there were a lot of different scenarios, in case you guys did not know, of how Palpatine survived that were X'd out or just cancelled from the script. One of which in the early drafts we talked about this, that when Palpatine fell into the reactor, he created a wormhole that transported him over to Exegol, and that the original Palpatine survived, not that his essence transferred over into a clone. It was all Kathleen Kennedy's idea on making him into a clone and keeping that a big secret until the book came out into the novelization. But in the beginning, they really didn't know what to do. Kathleen Kennedy really just did not want to explain it in the movie, because they had a lot of retcons actually in their minds, a lot of changes in different scenarios that they wanted to decide on how Palpatine survived. Also, another contributing factor was the fact that they didn't even know what they were doing with Palpatine, even while they were filming it in post-production. And that's why his death or his survival is not really fully explained in Episode 9, and you only get that in the novelization. So almost every casual fan I know, this is true, that I have spoken to, has no idea how Palpatine came back. They all ask me, how is he back anyway? Like, how did is it really the original Palpatine? Is it like, what's the deal? Nobody really knows what to say. The hardcore fans, the ones that really kind of dig into the material and really invest their time on reading on the source material and the lore, they kind of really get the idea because they read the books. People like myself and you guys out there, and even some casual fans, believe it or not, do read some level of the books to get some basic understanding. But it's just not enough for the masses to really know. So that was the one big problem with Episode 9, is that was never really explained or hinted at in the slightest. So, like I say, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. Thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.